TikTok and Reels and the media have basically told women, one strike and you're out as a man. Celebrate. You are a beautiful, independent woman. You don't need that man. Walk right out on him. Spoiler alert, we're deeply flawed. Very few of us are going to get it right. We're going to forget to open your door. We're going to maybe forget to order you the Uber. Constantly telling women to exit the relationship.
The issue has never been that women only give men a single chance. It's that women have been giving men too many chances. One of the biggest regrets from women who leave a relationship is that they didn't do it sooner. Even the examples that he gives, if a man doesn't open her door, if he doesn't order her Uber. Men like Scott want people to believe that women leave men for surface level, superficial issues. But it's the lack of character, morals, integrity. It's your weaponized incompetence, your malicious compliance. It's your misogyny, your attachment to red pill ideology. It's your lack of schmexual discipline. I take issue with the entire premise of what he's saying. He's making it seem like women just walk away from men because they messed up once. Rhetoric like his refuses to hold men accountable. They want to blame feminism. They want to blame social media. But they never ever say, men, maybe you should look inward. Maybe you should take the time to listen to what the women are saying. For years they've told women to choose better, and the women have been choosing better. And that's why they're not getting picked. But they're coddled by the patriarchy, and they're coddled by red pill, misogynistic podcasters, and people like Scott Galloway. People who will always tell them, it's not your fault. If a man is willing to listen, it has never been easier for him to get a woman, because women are jumping online every day and telling you what they want. But the truth is, you don't respect them enough to listen to them, and that's why you're single.
Over the last few days, like this past week, I've had several women jumping into my inboxes wanting to share their personal story time. And this woman jumped into one of my inboxes that I didn't even really realize that I had to tell me what happened when she was addicted to alcohol. Obviously, when you are impaired by any kind of substances, you're not making the best decisions. So right now, I'm just going to start with this blurb because I do want to let y'all know she is on the road to recovery. She knows and understands that she was making terrible decisions, and she's working to fix that part of her life. And before I go to the beginning of the story, I just want to start here because after reading her story, I was like, my goodness, how are you now? She says, I'm doing well now. Thank you. I'm sober from alcohol, and that has saved my life. I have an unhealthy and dysfunctional relationship with alcohol. This addiction had me in some very dangerous situations. So let's go back to the beginning of her story. I just wanted to start off with the fact that we know that she's doing okay now. She says, hey, Burb, I hope this message finds you doing well. I wanted to message you directly with a bit of my story. I'm very grateful to you and the work you do. Thank you in advance for hearing my experience. When I first started watching your videos in the fall of 2024, I was in kind of a crappy relationship. My ex-boyfriend, let's call him Izzy, was 40. I was 27. I thought he was mature, and he was, but not in every aspect of his life. He didn't have a job in the 3 years I dated him. He got temporary gigs here and there, but we were planning on moving in together, and I realized I was going to have to foot the bill for everything. Rent, food, pets food, insurance, literally everything. I'm going to be honest right there. If he's 40 and she's saying that he's mature and he hasn't had a job in 3 years, I'm going to go on a limb and say that he is not, in fact, mature. But let's keep it moving. I recognize his parents and family might have helped out, but I didn't feel good about that. How could we be together if we couldn't stand on our own 2 feet? Izzy is disabled, so I asked him about getting on SSDI. He said his parents told him not to, so he won't get a job, won't get on disability, and lives in his parents' house. I lived with him and his parents. I went to work and helped around the house. I still feel bad for his parents because they opened their home to me and I don't make a lot of money, so I can't repay them for their kindness. They really wanted me and Izzy to move in together. They really wanted her to take Izzy off of their hands. And that's what she says too. I think it was so they could get him out of their house and in someone's hands. I couldn't do that. I wasn't put on this earth to take care of a grown man. I listened to you and I decided that being alone was better than that. He wasn't a bad man. He couldn't give me what I needed, which was true partnership. I will admit that I was drunk throughout most of our relationship. And when I got sober, I realized how unhealthy and dysfunctional our relationship was. I was no angel. I made mistakes in that relationship. However, I still had employment and responsibility. Sobriety made me see how much I tolerated until I made the decision that enough was enough. Have you ever been comfortable, complacent, so you didn't change anything, stagnate? I hit my breaking point. I was in such a bad place, but I had sobriety and that gave me my life back. Now she gives us a trigger warning. She says, trigger warning for SA. If this is going to be challenging because there's SA, please swipe away. I do understand. She says, I want to tell you a bit about the boyfriend before Izzy. Let's call him Andy. I knew him from high school. I graduated from college and we reconnected. This relationship was such a mess. I was a mess for a long time. I was a heavy drinker in this relationship. Andy and I would stay up drinking and playing games. When we started dating, I got a job offer in a new city. We decided we would live together. He did not get a job in the city we were moving to. He got drunk the night before we were supposed to move and basically ghosted me at the new place. I called him and told him basically not to show up, that I would do this alone. He pleaded with me and I relented. A mistake. I should have stood on business and principle, but I figured it would be easier with our dual income. Having more money in the house is great, but not at the cost of my peace. I said I was drinking a lot then, and when I would get drunk, I would get very frisky. Here's the thing. I would tell him before I got drunk that I didn't want to have sex. I would say, hey, Andy, no matter what I say, please let's not have sex tonight. And he would agree. Yet when I would wake up from my blacked out state, I would be naked. I'd ask him, did we have sex? He'd say, yeah, you wanted to. And it kept happening. I broke up with him after about a year and a half together, and I asked him why he couldn't respect my wishes when it came to not having sex when I was drunk. I told him that was like grape. He said, so what? You don't have any responsibility in this? It has taken me a long time to unpack this. At first, I blame myself for continually putting myself in that position. I still kind of do. I blame my relationship with alcohol, which is a problem. I think I liked getting drunk more than I liked him because of the addiction, which is why I continued to drink. Nevertheless, if I was dating someone and they told me they didn't want to have sex while they were sober and conscious, then they told me they wanted to have sex when they were intoxicated and becoming unconscious, I wouldn't take advantage of that. Izzy was able to respect me and didn't have sex with me when I was blackout drunk. It wasn't because men can't control themselves. Andy made the choices he did to continually do what he did to me. Sometimes he was drunk too, sometimes he wasn't. Regardless, Andy hurt me. He knew I didn't like what was happening. That didn't matter to him. I don't talk about this stuff much with people because of shame. Shame that I didn't do more to help myself. Shame that I didn't choose better. Shame that I let men use me and my body. Shame that I haven't decentered men as much as I should, but I want to do better. I think sharing about it may help myself and others. These are just some examples from 2 ex-boyfriends. I unfortunately have more stories. I know you get a lot of correspondence, so I hope that my story can help someone out there. Remember that you deserve love. Don't accept anything less. Don't settle for mediocre. And this is one of the reasons why I do want to talk about these things, because sometimes the shame prevents others from talking about these sucky situations. This woman was drinking heavily and she was blacking out, and that man took advantage. That was terrible. She was violated. But the thing is, at that particular juncture, I want women to know and understand it wasn't like grape. That was actually grape. You cannot consent if you are unconscious. And we need to talk about these things more, because at that particular juncture, even if she didn't want to press charges, she needs to make sure that she is never, ever in a situation with that man again, because he is unsafe. And we also do need to talk about people's relationships with alcohol or other drugs. So after I read all that, I was like, my goodness, hun, how are you now? She says, hey, Burb, I'm doing well now. Thank you. I'm sober from alcohol. Yay. And that has saved my life. I have an unhealthy and dysfunctional relationship with alcohol. This addiction had me in some very dangerous situations. I personally hope people, especially women especially, take heed when it comes to alcohol and other substances because of the mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual perils one can fall into. Of course, I'm not blaming all of my woes on my addiction. I made my choices. It's just that I make much better choices when I'm not under the influence. Thank you for reaching out and asking. I genuinely appreciate the work you do. Deprogramming is hard work. She says, one thing I've learned is that we don't unlearn things. If you learn how to drive a car, you don't unlearn how to drive. Sure, you might be a rusty driver if you haven't driven in a while. Maybe you forget a thing or two, but you remember how to do it. The physical actions, the mental preparation, life is a lot like that. We unlearn things by confronting the way we have done something and going at it a different way. We've been wired to serve in this patriarchal world. You've helped me reroute my neural pathways. That's really cool. She says, thank you for your tireless work. Thank you for the community you've fostered. This is the reason why I do this. I had no idea that my life would take this route. But since people are finding benefits in it, they are finding that this community is helpful and beneficial, I will continue to wake up and show up for y'all. This is hard. I know that this is hard for this woman. So as you listen to this and start typing, please have some empathy and grace. She knows where she has gone wrong and she's working to repair that. All right, y'all, let me know what you think. I have another personal story time, and this opening sentence, it just speaks to the reason why we keep waking up and creating this community every single day. So this woman says, hi, I hope it's okay to message you. I'm reaching out because your videos about emotional abuse, invalidation, and toxic behavior from men describe almost exactly what I've been living through. Okay, I'm hooked. Let's see. She says she's in her mid-20s. This is the reason why I want to continue to talk to women, especially young women, so that they see these tactics early and they exit stage left. All right, she says, I'm in my mid-20s and just left a 2.5-year relationship that slowly deteriorated into emotional abuse and in the end, threats of physical violence. I felt shocked, confused, guilty, and emotionally unstable afterward. Throughout our relationship, my ex constantly invalidated my emotions. Whenever I tried to calmly explain that something hurt me, he replied with his perspective, usually minimizing mine by saying it wasn't a big deal or that I was overreacting. When I pointed out that this felt invalidating, he flipped it around and accused me of invalidating him. Over time, every conversation became about what was wrong with me. He repeatedly told me I needed to change, but never clearly explained how, only that I was too emotional, too dramatic, or creating problems when I tried to express hurt or set boundaries. That sounds a lot like DARVO. Remember, DARVO stands for deny, attack, and reverse victim or offender, reverse victim and offender. So if she had a sincere issue that she wanted to bring, he ended up flipping it around. And the reason why I talk about this stuff so much is that we see examples of DARVO all the time. DARVO, once again, deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. This next paragraph is really challenging, so I couldn't imagine how it felt to go through this. She says, during our final argument, things escalated severely. He verbally abused me, calling me a B word, a piece of and mentally ill, and also attacked my friends and family. Even worse, he used my past thoughts of self-deletion from months ago, which I trusted him with, as a weapon to hurt me during the argument and mock me. At one point, he physically cornered me on my bed, raised his hand like he was going to hit me, threw objects around my room, and threatened me with violence. He didn't hit me, but clearly tried to intimidate me. Immediately afterward, he broke up with me and later justified his behavior by saying he would even hit his father or friends if they talked to him the same way. Despite all of this, he now claims that I was the abusive one, that I destroyed the relationship, that he had hoped I would change. I'm left with this intense guilt and confusion, wondering what I could have done differently, even though I never threatened him, insulted him the way he did, or used his vulnerabilities against him. This dude was manipulating. This dude is manipulative. I don't know if he's a narcissist. I'm not going to do all of that armchair diagnosis, but what he definitely did was take her traumas and use it as a weapon. That is manipulation. That is hurtful. That's emotional abuse. He also the threats to hit is enough to change her behavior or try to get what he wanted out of her. So that's abuse right there as well, even if he didn't touch her. The flipping things around, those are all also manipulation tactics, like I was talking about. As far as Darvo, he decided that she was abusive, even though he's the one that is doing the abuse. This is not a safe person. This person right here, OP, you have no reason to feel guilty. As an outsider looking at this situation, there is nothing that you could have done. This person, it just wanted to be in control and probably felt you slipping away. And this was his way of lashing out. She continues with, I'm struggling to understand how someone can justify intimidation and cruelty while seeing themselves as the victim. If you have any insight into this kind of dynamic, blame shifting, invalidation, emotional control through fear, I would be deeply grateful. Thank you for your work and taking the time to read this. My first language isn't English. You communicated yourself quite well, and I do appreciate you bringing this to the community, because all abuse does not have to be physical abuse. Sometimes it is intimidation. Sometimes it is throwing things. Sometimes they do want to just let you know, I can actually hurt you, even if they don't actually do it, because that is still a way to make you do what they want you to do without actually touching you, bruising you, or anything. You still end up having the same reaction, and they still get to their final goal, which is control and fear or whatnot. I don't know what this is. I'm not a therapist. I'm not in the medical field or anything. All I know is that this type of person is not safe. These type of people shouldn't even be breathing the same air as you. And there's no reason to feel guilty for this. This is the reason why I say things like, women need to get a sense of self-preservation. Even if we can't diagnose who this is or what kind of person this is, we know that he is unsafe. And I want women to have that sense of self-preservation, because you know that you need to take yourself out of this person's orbit and get away from them as quickly as possible. Someone can jump into the comment section to try to break down who this is and what type of personality this is. That's neither here nor there. You have to heal from dealing with this type of abuse, but there's no reason to feel guilt for needing to get away from this type of person, because you, OP, did nothing wrong in this situation. All right, y'all go ahead, chime in. Let me know what you think. Once again, this is the reason why I say stop giving your 20s to these people. That way you can get some foundation and know who you are and get that assertiveness to walk away when somebody comes at you like this. Y'all let me know what you think. Like, comment, and share. We needed something to laugh at, and I was tagged in this post yesterday. I am planning on doing a nightmare dating profiles video, but y'all just needed to see this morning in some of the comments. So Candace says, and sometimes Prince Charming appears when you're not looking, and then shares this write-up. So this man wrote an intro for Candace. So here we have Steven. Steven is 43 years old. He's 6'5" and looks like a thumb. But this is what he wrote specifically for Candace. He starts it out strong. Woman, do you not see why this place is a dumpster fire? Seriously, just look at your dresser. And what kind of write-up will tell a guy you're the one, the wrong you're the one for them? You sound like walking chaos with a pretty face. You need to put that masculine energy away for a change. Get your crap together. Clean up that damn dresser, because that's a representation of your whole life. And finally, let a real man bring order and stability and consistency to your damn life to lead you properly. Or not. And you'll stay like this, back in your victim mindset, blaming others for your own chaos that you create, like that messy ass dresser. Let me know if you're ready for a leader in your life to keep it real with you and put you on track. He has a real issue with this dresser, and I'm going to tell you right now, that my dresser is chaos right now, and I'm feeling indicted. I feel like he is speaking directly into my life, and that I need to get my life together because my dresser, both the big dresser and the little side dresser, it's chaos. And I don't even know what I'm doing with myself. I have no idea. But this is Stephen, the big toe, and he thinks that this is going to get this woman back on track, starting it out with woman and talking about get your damn life together. I think that his ex left him, and all he really thinks about is her messy makeup drawer or something like that, because he's really feeling kind of passionate about this dresser. Jim says, sometimes when I feel bad about myself, someone on Threads always makes a post like this, and it cheers me up because I'm like, hey, at least I'm not this clown, so thank you for this. Mad Woman says, I love when men write a monologue about their ex on their dating profile. Just say you're not over her and she broke your heart. At the bottom, this woman says, oh my effing God, I'm dying at some of these comments. The memes are killing me. I'm done. I'm dead. These people have been pretty funny. This person, Jadzia, provided us with some of his other profile photos, and I'm covering it up because you need this trigger warning because these are hysterical. Y'all just needed to see this. This is another profile photo. It's really capturing his emotion. You can really feel it through this photo. And then this is the next one. Y'all needed this because, you really can see the emotion. He's not someone that bottles it up. He lets you know how he's feeling immediately in that moment. He knows the right expressions and the right face and the right words. Elle says, men have only ever led me to hell. Signed, a masculine woman with a pretty face who is the queen of chaos. Somehow, I bet I have more college degrees than him. I bet I have a better credit score than he does. I bet I do better in a crowd full of strangers than him. I bet I'd handle a real emergency with ease. I bet I can outwork him in hard labor any day of the week. I bet I'm more emotionally intelligent. And I'm certain I never give this clown the time of day. So we got a masculine woman who is the queen of chaos. And then Casey says, exactly. I'm trying to understand if the poster mentioning this being Prince Charming is being sarcastic or no. I'm shaking my head. Yes, she's being sarcastic. Of course, that man looking like a thumb is not her Prince Charming. Jen says, the thing my emotionally abusive ex complained about most was my messy dresser. I have makeup and hair products on it because my ADHD brain doesn't do object permanence. If I don't see it, it doesn't exist. I would call out his fishing 7 times a week or sleeping in every single day while I got up with our son, and he'd say, what about your dresser? All right. And then Candace says, oh, Christ, so glad to hear he has X status. God bless you for getting out of that. Mayman Hub says, damn, you need to charge your phone. And then Hawkeye was like, that's what you took from that? And then Kathy says, of course, he's a man. And then we see Elle's comment again, so I don't need to redo that one. Erin says, what the hell is the fixation with the dresser? And then to that, Ren says, stop hating. If J.D. Vance can romance a sofa, why can't this man romance a dresser? P.S. His love for dressers and armoires started from that talking furniture in Beauty and the Beast. So that's his origin story. And then Erin says, except he seems really pissed off at this arbitrary, disheveled dresser. There's no romance here. But that's the thing. There could be some romance if she would just get her life together and stop being so chaotic. Meggie says, is this man offering to clean and organize women's houses? And then Silver Girl Sale says, okay, now this dude's villain origin story involves a dresser. And I don't know what it did to him, but he's never going to forget. Martin says, I'm thinking he got something trapped in a drawer. I'm trying not to think of what and stepping away slowly. Tanya hones in on let a real man lead you. And she says, big talk for someone spiraling over a dresser. She says, translation, he wants control because he has none internally. And many of these people act like this because they need to be some kind of demigod or lord over someone because they are powerless in the outside world. That's the reason why they need some woman that is smaller than them, that talks smaller, that has a childlike innocence about her, because it makes them feel bigger. They want to control because they have none. They have nothing in the outside world. They are just mere cogs in the outside world, and they need to feel bigger and better about themselves by being able to dominate somebody. So this is how they act. Miss Minnie Maddie says, "Oh yeah, really reeled me in with that one, Stephen. I used to get messages like, 'Why are you not replying?' So I'd politely say, 'Sorry, not interested.' One guy went on a tirade, called me a fat ginger, see you next Tuesday, then continued to ask me for a chance." I agree. The audacity of men. Get some of that. Fekami says, "I feel offended. Totally my makeup station, but I know where everything is." Bloom to Bloom says, "Meanwhile, my dresser. Will a real man please come and help me clean it up?" No, just kidding. Stay away, you real men. And then we'll end it with this one. Riding a Unicorn just posted this. I'll move out the way just in case you need a screenshot. She says, "My vagina just made the Windows shutdown sound." And with that, we will close it. Y'all let me know what you think of this one. We needed a chuckle a little bit because, yes, I've had some stories that were kind of deep. And later on today, if you're on my YouTube page, I will be doing a nightmare dating profiles video because I keep getting so many women sending me posts. Let me know what you think of this one. Like, comment, and share.
Social media has not ruined marriage. Social media has only shown us what marriage truly is. Another creator on here said so beautifully that the younger generation is 2 seconds away from witnessing their single, child-free, cat lady aunties as they're passing away, surrounded by friends and family and community, the people who love and support them. So they didn't have these miserable lives. They weren't alone. All of the things that they try and use to convince young girls that marriage is the only way to have a fulfilling life, they're about to witness it for themselves, that they have more options than they thought was available. That's going to be a game changer, because realizing that if you are on the fence, if you want to get married, go ahead and get married. But for those who don't, stop making it seem like that's the only way to have a beautiful life.